Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Soul Sisters. This is your host, Mayya Al-Saeed, with the lovely
Vanessa Mehri. Hi.
I'm so glad. I feel so grateful every time we do this intro that I get to do this show with you. So thank you for being here.
Such a blessing.
Having said that, I think this is a beautiful way to introduce our topic, which is women supporting women, or aren't they supporting each other? I've always felt, I don't remember really experiencing a woman bringing me down, because I think I'm the type of person that likes to just push away negativity. I will deal with it when it comes, and then, just move on with my life. It's something you taught me. Let it come, let it go, let it flow. But I hear so many stories, and I know you have one. You wanted to share one with us leading into this topic, which is women supporting women, or the sisterhood. Does it really exist?
The sisterhood is such a challenging thing. You'd expect, because girls are so close from a young age, even as they go into adulthood, women are still taking each other to the bathroom, for example. They're going in groups, right? Like together. So you'd really think like, women are going to be super supportive. They must be. I'm imagining men think women are super supportive. They have this really strong bond. But there's a disconnect somewhere. And I'm really trying to figure out, why do we have this disconnect, and what can we do to change it? Obviously, change starts with you.
Yeah.
So for me to make sure I don't make the same mistakes towards another woman, it's always good to be self-aware. I feel like that's the first most important step to bringing change. So in regards to women working together, I'm not going to go too far back. I'll just use a very recent kind of example, and that would be social media, since we're both very active on social media.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first got to Oman, I just started my Instagram, and you already had a presence, remember? And you were guiding me and holding my hand on what I had to do, and you weren't hesitant at all to take me onto your platform with you, introduce me to your followers and stuff, and that gave me a stepping stone into to get the following in Oman, for example. Kenya is different, but in Oman itself, some people, I feel like they feel quite insecure and they're not as ready to do that, but mashallah, you did it.
Vanessa, if I'd known that the story was to do with me, I would have told you to choose another story. Allah.
But wait, it goes on, right? And so fast forward now, when accounts grow, and we've both grown, we've matured and grown so much as well in the internet world. In comes now things like sponsorships, for example, and you quickly realize that there's a big rift when it comes to women. Men get jobs a little bit easier, and when women get jobs, they're very hesitant again to share it with another woman. Back to you again. You would always call me if you felt anything, not even if it fit or not. You would always call me if you felt something fit, right? Now, our example is probably not the best example, because we gel so well, right? But there are other women out there who would, for example, never call me if there's a job, never even suggest it, where I find myself holding a lot of women's hands. I would recommend them. If they get the job, I'm sitting with them to advise them on how much to charge, how to tackle it, like really holding somebody's hand through that process.
Supporting them.
It would be nice to also get the same back from a woman as well.
But then we go into expectation. You are now expecting, because that's how you would treat the situation. You would take in I don't want to say sister, but the lady, and support her. So you are expecting that back. This is where I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not to say that you are doing it because you have expectations that, okay, I'm going to help her because I know she's going to help me, or somebody else. But it's just that I literally have learned that when I do help in any kind of way, I don't really expect it, but it makes me feel good just helping.
But I mean, the term, do unto your neighbor as you want them to do unto you.
Yeah.
So you use that. And reality is, even with COVID and everything, for people to grow through these really hard times, you have to hold each other's hand. You know what I mean? you have to form that sisterhood or that bond. And I feel like that is lacking. And I've again, like you, I've spoken to women in the workforce who've also said that they feel like their growth is held back by a woman in HR or a woman who is above them, because they don't, and they can be really good at their job, but someone's holding them back from progress.
That's interesting when you say women in the workforce, because all the feedback that I've received to the women that I've spoken to, it was actually the contrary. It's actually, they didn't face that problem in the workforce. And the women were actually empowering others. So it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see. Maybe it's an industry thing. Depending, maybe, because from the feedback I got, it's
what sort
not
of
the
industries?
case.
It would be interesting to know. What sort of industries are you in touch with?
That's interesting. I don't know where they work. These women, it was just a general thing, because at that point in time when we were doing the research, it was not what industry are we going to tackle. It was just defined generally. So I didn't really go dig deep and find out what industry they worked in.
We do have some women who are going to be coming on air.
Yeah, so we'll just take a quick break and then speak to them.
Yeah. And come back with more.
See you soon. Welcome back to Soul Sisters. This is Mayya Al Saeed and Vanessa. And we have a caller online. Would you like to introduce her, Vanessa?
Yes, we've actually got a friend of mine calling in, and her name is Abla Sebak. And she's not only one of the most gorgeous women I know.
Yes, I just saw your picture. You're absolutely stunning. MashaAllah.
Thank you.
MashaAllah, mashallah. But she's also very hardworking and a huge advocate for other women.
Great. So tell us a bit about you, Abla. Lovely to have you, by the way. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thanks, Vanessa, for inviting me. And you're also so empowering. So my name is Abla Sebak. I have a business in Qatar, and I'm currently establishing Egypt as well. I have a women empowerment platform in Qatar as well. Amazing. And I enjoy doing it. And I'm a single mom of a 5-year-old.
Oh, boy or girl?
Girl.
Oh, mashallah.
She's so cute. Yeah. So Abla, we're just going to jump right into it.
Yes.
Obviously, you work with a lot of women. What are some of the challenges you face or you've seen other women face when it comes to women in the workforce and women supporting women?
See, my company I started with were all women. I've hired all women, only women, to help get them independent and so forth. And throughout the years of experience, I've realized that women actually, they don't help each other. I find a lot of jealousy. I find a lot of hate. There is some woman out there that can actually be there and support you. And there's many women out there that would see another woman who's succeeding. They'll try to compete with her. Whereas if another woman sees another woman's success, I believe them working together would be unstoppable, because I believe women together, working together, they can create magic.
That's so true.
That reminds me of the quote, "Together we rise."
Yeah, exactly.
But then
Yes, 100%.
But it's sad to see that, as you said, Abla, that some women don't realize that that's the opportunity. Like, there's strength in unity. And I don't know what we can do to change that. What do you think, Abla, can be done? From your experience?
From my side, I'm going to be honest. It's been 10 years. I've struggled a lot with different women. I even best friends who are women who see success. Even going to random meetings in, let's say, in Egypt per se, I would go to just random meetings, and automatically the woman would just hate. She would just hate me and will not help me with a meeting, or will not help me with getting approvals. It's very complicated, and it's really difficult, because us women, we don't need more difficulty. I believe we should help each other. We should support one another. We should never, ever compete. I think a woman should always be secure within herself, love herself from within, and offer help and love to other women around her. Because we as women are full of love. We're full of emotion. And we can do it together. I believe us together, we can do it.
That's so true. Which is, I agree 100%.
I think we need to have this on repeat. I think the lack of us hearing this is maybe part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because we just keep hearing all the negativity and all the toxic things we do to each other, which reminds me of even when something is to happen, you find out, you expect it's a man, for example, that is standing in your way. And then when you do a bit of digging, you come to realize it was a woman doing this to you.
Stifling your growth, yeah. I think also, Abla, my theory is that women help women, or a lot of them are more open to helping each other if the playground has been leveled out. So, for example, if they both look equally as attractive, or they both have the same level of education. I feel like once that playground is leveled out, then they're more open to helping each other. Am I right with that?
I think that I believe that's right. Absolutely, yes. Yes, 100%.
Okay. Well,
but again, as working women right now, and women all over the world are working 100 times, I'm sorry to say this, more than men, to try to prove themselves. We're mothers, we're sisters, we're daughters, we cook, we clean, we do so much. We have to take care of our body, we have to work out, we have to go, forget that every month we get our thing, you know what I'm saying? So we're going through so much that if one less person or one less woman out there can just be there, we're not asking there to help us,
Support.
Don't bring toxicity to it. Don't bring negativity. Don't go talk behind our back. You see us succeeding, you would say, and in the Arab era, they say, oh, she's probably, I don't know, doing this or doing that. Instead of, actually, no, she's working really hard. Leave her alone. Let her be.
Yeah. And that's, I'm ashamed to say, but even I'm susceptible to that as well. Being on social media, sometimes it's really hard to look at somebody else just come and grow in a very small span of time. And you ask yourself, like, why is she doing better than me? But then again, I think this is where change starts with you yourself. I've had to really talk to myself and say, well, she didn't just wake up and become successful overnight. She's had to film, she's filmed awesome videos. She's had to edit. It's hard work. She's putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. And when I tell myself that, I find myself less negative towards that woman. And then just reaching out to the woman and being more loving. You start to change your wiring, if that makes sense.
For me, I look at it as an opportunity. I say, so if she's managed to do it, then I can do it too.
As a challenge.
Not really a challenge, but just like... you can say inspiration that if, for example, Abla's done it, that means that I can do it too. Abla's paved the way. You've probably opened doors for other women that weren't, that needed to be opened. So we have to thank you for that, to even do something for women. You're a prime example and an inspiration to us also. Thank you so much for being...
Abla, that gave me goosebumps because... Abla is just fire. I love you so much, and I love
you too. I'm
what
so
you're
proud
doing.
of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
You.
It was lovely having you,
pleasure.
and wishing you lots of success.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Ooh, I have goosebumps.
I know. Me too. Let us take. Look. Oh, you see? It's. Oh, there we go, and it's more. Look, it's not like...
Okay,
literally.
I believe you.
No, it's not stopping. Obviously, we're very passionate about this. I mean, even our bodies are like... when the mind is like, yes, and the body's like reciprocating. Yes. That's one.
And this, I'm so glad you decided this was a topic that you really felt strongly about, which is why I wanted you to take reign and take this topic on board. Did you realize when I was doing some research that we had, that there's something called pull-down syndrome?
Oh.
You didn't know about that. So I'll tell you about that after the break.
Hey kids, my name is Ahlam Al Marjeby and I do a couple of things here at Oman FM. And today, I would like to introduce you to the concept of mixtapes. The term originated in the 70s and it describes a homemade compilation of music that's recorded onto a cassette tape. This is a cassette tape. And these days, with all the streaming services that we have, mixtapes have kind of lost their charm. But here at Oman FM, we want to change that. And here's how you can get involved. Man, get this camera off of me, man. Compile your favorite songs. Make sure that it's no longer than 30 minutes in total. Record a voice message under 20 seconds, dedicating your mixtape to your friends, family members, or that special someone. Click the link in our bio and fill in the form. Send in your request, and your mixtape may be featured in your nation station, Oman FM. So what are you waiting for? Send in your dedicated mixtape now! All right, we done?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back to Soul Sisters with Vanessa and Mayya. So, I'm sorry I did that to you guys. I left you on a cliffhanger. When I was researching this topic, I came to find out there's something called pull her down syndrome.
There's a her in it even.
Can you imagine? So I don't know much about it. This is just what I read off the internet. So apparently an American feminist, Gloria Steinem something, forgive me, Gloria, for not pronouncing your name correctly. On various occasions, she says, has spoken on the pull her down syndrome, a way in which too often women I can't pronounce that. Denigrate other women? Denigrates?
Did you have coffee today? Continue.
So apparently she says, you see one person doing well, think she's getting it all, and want only to take it away. Yeah.
Is there the why?
The why, so she goes, I understand it's also very destructive, which is true. It's very destructive for women to do that to each other. But how can we overcome the pull down syndrome? So apparently it does exist. So then it goes on to talk about how we can overcome it, and maybe we can discuss it later if we have time. Because, but I found that interesting that there's actually a syndrome called pull her down. Like literally, like, can you imagine someone pulling someone down just so they don't reach success?
It's so bad they had to name a syndrome after it. And be very specific with the naming.
Subhanallah, that just goes to show how important this topic is today. And I'm saddened that it's not talked about more. Yeah. Anyway, another guest we have today is Ahlam Al Marjeby. And what I love about Ahlam, first of all, I know her on a personal level, but this is not why she's on the show. She's on the show because of her achievement. And she's a football coach.
What?
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Want me to say it again?
That's
She's
really
a football coach. And I could talk more about her, but I'd love for her to introduce herself. Salam alaikum, Ahlam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Ahlam. Thank you so much for joining us on Soul Sisters.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me.
Well, I'm just in awe of what you do, first and foremost.
Yeah, you should have seen her face when I said she's a football coach. She goes, what?
Yeah, it's rarely to hear that, right?
I love it.
Thank you.
So I'm interested, Ahlam, as to why you decided, like, how did this come about? How did you decide to become a football coach?
It's always been, I've always loved the sport. I grew up, I had an older brother, 2 years older than me, and we've been, before my sister came, for 4 years, so he was like the idol, right? So anything he does, you just follow.
Yeah.
And usually that's what happens with the first and second sibling. And my dad was a football player, so I used to see football a lot. He would watch matches, would sit with him, and I just grew into loving the game.
Interesting. But then at what point did you decide, you know what, I'm assuming this is something you do, it's not like your full-time thing, you have like a job, and this is something you do on the side, am I correct?
Indeed, this is something I do on the side.
And so when did you start doing it? Like how has this journey been for you?
As I started working, my sister came to me and she told me, do you know that there is a bunch of girls in a club that they're playing football? And you talk about 15 years ago. And I was like, no way, you know, because I've always looked for that, but there were always boys playing football. So when I joined in, it just like felt like home. I just fit right in. So I practiced and I played and we went to tournaments together. And as years passed by, you know, it was fluctuating up and down.
Yeah.
And then it came to a complete stop, basically. Later on, there was an opportunity to get a coaching certificate. So I got my first coaching certificate in 2016 in futsal, which is the indoors football.
Yes. Excellent.
And when I got that, at that point, I think that was the starting point for me to say, you know what, maybe this can turn into something. I always wanted to be a football player, but that ship has sailed at that point. So to me, it was like, what can I do that would help and inspire the next generation to fulfill the dreams that I didn't have the opportunity for.
Wow.
That's amazing. And the fact that you actually went in and got, your certification, حييش صراحة أحلام.
شكراً.
Yeah.
But even then, I wasn't very confident that I will be able to be a coach. Yes, getting the certificate is something, but actually practicing that. So that came about in the company that I worked in. We created a basketball team. Now I play basketball, I play football, volleyball, tennis. I grew up in a sports family kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I just always loved sports. So I told myself, this is where, the arena where I practice and see whether I can make it or not. Am I able to inspire and get the girls to play a game they never played before, they never seen before? So it started with basketball. And little did I know, it just, flew from there. And that's when I said, okay, when I get my opportunity, football is what I want to do. Rest assured, in 2020, when I got my football certificate, that's the grassroots one, I got a call from Muscat Club. There was girls who are the Oryx community. They just joined in Muscat Club. And when they heard that I got my certificate, they called me up and they were like, Coach, we would love you to come and coach us. And that's the start of my journey.
That's beautiful. And now you're coaching girls, right?
Yes. Currently, I am coaching girls. I coach the above 18, and I do coach the little girls as well from 6 to 12 almost. I coach in an academy called Zaytuna Sports.
Excellent. So now anyone who's listening, sorry, you wanted to say something?
I used to coach little boys as well, but then the primary focus for me was, boys and men have been in this
field
establishment and journey for a very long time.
Yeah.
For the girls and women, it's pretty new. So my primary focus here right now said, no, you know what? I need to just give and empower these little girls and women to get into what they love. If it starts with football and ends with something else, it doesn't matter. But as long as they get, into a journey, into something. And that's where I'm focused right now.
And as a mom who has a daughter who loves football, Dania, and that is one of the ways how I know Ahlam. I know her before her becoming a coach and after. So she actually coached Dania as well. So, and Dania loves her. So Dania to see that role model, I have a coach who's female who loves football, and she's like her favorite. Dania adores Ahlam.
Yeah. Wow. Ahlam, what would you say, according to you, is, doing sports is important for the physical, right? But when it comes to girls, what are the added benefits they're getting in terms of, the mental aspect of it as well? And what are some of the skills that are built? Like I would imagine working in a team, being a team player is one of the skills they learn, right?
Right. I'm just going to reflect this on the girls that I've coached in Muscat Club. So when I started, you had different 20, 30 girls all around together. Definitely they come from different backgrounds. They come from different ethnicity, nationalities and all that. And as a coach, to just stand there and try to bring them all together to a common point is not easy. But it's one step at a time to get them, to see. In the end, we had to have a common goal, right? So, and then to build on this common goal. So it's not only just as a team, also individually. So you needed to understand their background, where they're coming from, and try to put yourselves in their shoes and I try as much as possible to keep where we practice as a safe place so they can be who they want to be. And it's not judgment. It's easy. Just come, be yourself, and.
Okay, interesting thing that I'd like to find out, because our topic today is women supporting other women or lack of. I wanted to know, in your experience as a coach or in the workforce, how has this been? Like, is it true? Do women bring down other women? Because I've heard it, but we would love to hear your thoughts about it.
I believe to some degree it is true. Like, if I reflect at work and how I started my sports journey there, I was empowered. I was just given the, you know what, just go do it. It was the gas director back then, Intisar Al-Kindi, who just said, go ahead. You know, you want to create something, just go do it.
Yeah.
And if I reflect to the journey of actually being the coach, I had a few bumps here and there and in the sports industry with the women. I don't know if it is because they feel threatened, or is it they just want to be alone at the top and they don't want competition and they just want the highlights and, you know, the spotlight to be on them. I'm not sure, but I've been brought down a few times in that manner.
By women?
By women.
Interesting. And what about in the football pitch? So you said the girls are a team, but have you seen, of course, without naming names, Yani, but have you seen within the girls themselves, when they compete for each other, do they bring each other down, or they're always like cohesive and common goal, let's do this, we're a team?
Again, I think it goes back again to how they were brought up in their environment. Definitely you see this, but if you're not aware, it could be subtle things that can, you know, as it goes on, get bigger and bigger, like a little crack. So as a coach, I really try to look into these little things. And when I see it, I do pull them aside. I have a chat with them and I ask, you know, what's happening? What is going on? You know, we need to be there for each other, there together. And I try to fix it as soon as I see it.
Wow,
I don't want them to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
No one was there to talk to me, you know?
Yeah.
Or the ones who were talking to me were actually like bringing me down rather than pushing me up. It was this person who gave me so much self-doubt that I genuinely believe that I'm not good at anything and I won't amount to anything. And surprisingly, some of them are your so-called friends as well.
Maybe as well because they don't just agree with what you're doing. So no, seriously, because they'll just break you. Like, who wants to say, yeah, I would like rave at the fact that I have a friend who's a football coach and all of that. Not bring her down unless it's something they're like maybe embarrassed about, which I don't see why. But again, maybe it's their lack of self-confidence in themselves.
I think it could also be a reflection of they couldn't get to be something and the other is there. They couldn't bring their life to take the journey that they wanted, and when they see the success, they just don't like it.
Yeah,
they refuse to look at the work that's been put in, isn't it? They're just looking at what they see. They don't see. It's like that iceberg. You've seen the post of the iceberg. You just see the top of it, but you don't know what's underneath it and what somebody has really had to struggle to endure. And for you, how many hours were spent training for you to get where you are today. And it's so admirable that you are helping the future leaders, the next generation. You're teaching them some really, really crucial core values. And I love that.
And also, sorry.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I had a few from the team that came up to me and were like, you know, coach, you have inspired me to be a coach in the future, or someone else who came and said, you inspired me to be something in the sports industry.
Yeah.
So that's nice to hear always.
And we shouldn't forget to mention that not only are you battling, you know, your journey as a coach, but in a very male-dominated area. So not only do you have to get maybe the heat from the male, but then you also have your own issues as a woman and your work, and then the women around you. So you've been through a lot of humps to get to where you are. So I'm taking this platform to congratulate you, Ahlam. And if there's another shot at it or another like opportunity, just go for it, because we need more women like you out there for the sake of our youth.
Shukran.
And on that note, where do you train the girls, Ahlam, currently?
Currently, I train them in Muscat Club.
Okay. So
In Wadi Kabir Muscat Club.
Okay.
So if there's any mamas out there who want to take their girls, now you know where, and you have an amazing coach who's going to train your daughter.
And for the little ones, if you have your daughters from the age of 6, please bring them to Zaytuna Sports. You can find us on Instagram.
Excellent.
We're going to have 6-year-olds at some point again. Oh, wait, I did the wrong back.
She was trying to...
I was trying to fist pump, and it went so
okay.
completely wrong.
Anyway, thank
us,
you
though.
so much, Ahlam, for joining. As I said, more successes to you, inshallah, and look forward to seeing you very soon.
Inshallah. Thank you guys
Lovely meeting you.
for inviting me for this talk. And inshallah, together we will be able to, change the mindset, if
Inshallah.
anything, and show women that when we stand together, we stand tall, and we do move forward together. You
Indeed.
don't necessarily have to do it on your own and be there on your own.
Yes.
Indeed, as I said
Doesn't amount
earlier,
to anything.
as I said earlier in the show, together we rise.
Indeed, together we rise. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Ahlam.
Shukran.
Afwan. Another goosebump moment for me.
What is happening? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because, dialogue is so important. It gets the ball rolling. It gets people thinking about it. I hope you're thinking about it. And I hope it's the catalyst for change. Even if it's just one woman who it reaches, the information gets to, and she starts being more self-aware and making sure that doesn't happen from her. We've done something, Mayya.
Well, I hope so, because as Ahlam pointed out, it's the mindset. So when you think of it, it's in the back of your mind. Then you're aware of even how you speak to not only yourself, but other women. And when you see a woman rising and you feel kind of, challenged by it, ask yourself why. Why am I feeling this way? Do I need to work on myself? Okay, what areas? What are my goals? What are my aspirations? Instead of bringing her down. Maybe we can do a follow-up. Maybe we'll see how things go.
Let us know if you want us to do a follow-up.
But anyway, nevertheless, thank you for joining us as always. We appreciate you, and we like to get conversations started. So let us know if there are any kind of topics you want us to talk about. We're there to start get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Thank you for hanging out with us today.
See you next time.
Bye.